Hi, my name is Steve. Join me now as I go through the week commencing the 5th of August 2024, and we actually had 13 setups, or possible setups that I was actually going to watch during the week to see if we had any trades long or short. And here is the list. Let's go through the actual chart now and see how many of these setups actually paid off and how many of them were no trades. Let's get started. The first pair on my list today was the Aussie CAD, and we were looking for this one to pull back into this resistance level and then take the next short. However, we did actually get a setup here, but this is actually on Friday, end of the week, close of trading. So this, if it was on a Monday, for instance, or a Tuesday, this would have been a perfect opportunity to take a short. So I'm saying for this one at the moment, we don't have a setup right now, but let's see what happens on maybe Monday or Tuesday coming this next week and see if we actually get a setup there. My next setup is on the Aussie Swiss, and we have almost the same thing as the Aussie CAD. So I'm guessing that the main trigger for this one is actually the Aussie dollar, the strength of the Aussie dollar. And it looks like we had a few days where it was going strong and now it's starting to waver and turn again the other way. So this one we will watch again on Monday, Tuesday next week to see if we actually have a setup coming. But if this same setup appeared on another weekday besides a Friday afternoon, then this possibly could have been a good setup for a short. And the Aussie New Zealand, we were looking on this one for a touch of the support level and then a close above with a green candle. So here the entry point would have been right at the end of this green candle where it closed. And if we had entered this trade now, we would have gone slightly into drawdown and then come back and would be almost break even now at this point. So that's one setup that actually did work out. The Canadian Swiss, we were looking for this one to come into the resistance zone and then close with a red candle for a short. This one has almost reached the zone but hasn't quite got there yet. So looking at this same trade for maybe Monday or Tuesday next week, if we're lucky. Euro Aussie, no setup on this one at all. We were hoping for a touch of the red zone here and then a close below. But all we had here was a spiky candle from a news event, which I'm not going to count because we didn't have any close of the candles anywhere near this red zone. So if we did have a green candle, say, close near the zone or in the zone, and then a red candle like this afterwards, then that would have been a trade. So I'm saying no trade for this one. Euro CAD, we were looking for this one to pull back into the zone and then close above with a green candle. However, this has actually gone straight through the zone, so there was no trade set up there at all. Euro Swiss, we were looking for this one to go into this resistance zone here and close below with a red candle. We did get a red candle on the last day of the week, so this is Friday of this week, but there was still no actual trade setups yet. It hasn't actually touched the zone. So maybe looking for this again next week if it goes into the zone and then closes below. Euro dollar, no setups at all this week. We were hoping for this one to go into the red zone and then close below with a red candle, but it hasn't actually reached the zone. It's just been consolidating fairly much for this whole entire week. Pound Aussie, I did actually mark this one as a possible future zone. However, it didn't actually pay out at all, so I'm going to delete that line for now. But we were looking for this one to come into the green zone and then close above. You can see here from this long wick candle that there was some news this week, and I'm not sure what that was, but it didn't really help much with our trade setup anyway. Because after the news, it crashed straight through the green zone, and probably looking at this one now to be a flip zone, and for this to actually be a a resistance level for a trade short next week. Pound Canadian, similar to the Aussie, we saw this one go straight through the zone, and looking at for next week, flipping this, making these a red zone for a short. We want to pull back into the zone and then take it short if we get a red candle. Pound Swiss, we have a zone drawn here where we've touched multiple times in the past. We were hoping for this one to come back to this area and then take to a short, but it hasn't actually reached there yet. It has actually come about halfway, but we're still waiting for this one to get back to this zone. So looking at maybe next week for this one, it'd be a possible short setup. Pound dollar, we have a green zone here and a possible red zone here as well. But for this week, we were looking for this one to come down to the green zone where we've touched previously multiple times, and it has actually bounced here quite a lot in the past. So hoping for a bounce here and to take long, but hasn't actually reached the zone yet. However, let's look at it again this coming week and see if we actually get a setup at that point. Fingers crossed. The next setup we have is for the New Zealand Swiss, and we were looking for this one to go into the zone and then close with a red candle below the zone. I'm not sure if I didn't draw this zone very well or not, but we did actually have almost a setup here. We've got the green candle going into the zone. It actually closed above, but then the red candle below afterwards. It hasn't actually closed below the zone yet. So checking to see what happens with this one, maybe on Monday or Tuesday coming up. And if this actually goes higher, we will then flip this zone and make these lines green, and we will be looking at then for this one to pull back and then take long. If it actually does close below this red zone, we'll be looking at then a short. At the last trade setup that we were monitoring for this week was the gold setup. And at this point, we didn't really have a decision because at the beginning of this week, we were down here. We were sort of looking at, not sure if it's going to go long or short. We were in between two zones. But if we look at it now, we are starting to get back towards this zone for a possible bounce. So there may be a setup here for a short, but at the moment, we didn't really have anything much to go by. So the outcome was we only really had one setup that actually paid out. The rest of them didn't actually set up. However, we didn't have any setups that actually would have failed. So I guess that is a good thing as well. And watch out for my next video. I will do a review for the week commencing the 12th of August, 2024. And this is with my forecast of the pairs that I am watching for this coming week to see if we do have any setup coming. We're using daily support and resistance levels.